Well, today on Turf Business TV, I'm delighted to be joined by Ben Gibson from Sussex Cricket. Ben, good morning. How's things down there in Sussex today?
Morning. Yeah, we've finally got some nice weather down here. It's been a bit of a tough winter, as everyone knows, but yeah, the sun's shining. We're on the grass, I believe. I'm off. I'm off this week actually, so the guys at work are slaving away there.
So how long until you've actually got some cricket being played? What's your home fixtures like?
So we've got two pre-season friendlies end of March. We got two-day games against, I believe it's Surrey and Hampshire. So quite good opposition. So that'd be good to watch. And then our first game is, I think it's the 5th of April this year. It's getting earlier.
Follow me. Okay. And are you
Yeah,
where you want to be in terms of your preparations?
I believe so. It only takes a week of dry weather to make it feel easier. We've had, like I said, we've had a tough winter with frosts and rain, but we're getting there now, and the outfield's in a good shape. So
Okay. Well, you're coming into your fourth season or your fourth year, aren't you, in the head role there? But let's wind back and talk about where it all started for you. I mean, I think you started out as an apprentice, if I'm right. Where was that?
yeah, so I started as an apprentice at Horsham Cricket Club. It was just the local cricket club to me. I've always had a little bit of an interest in cricket. I was terrible at the game, but I came out of college not really knowing what I wanted to do. Went to a few open days. Um, Went to Brinsbury College for an open day. Got talking to the Horsham Cricket Club's chairman at the time, um, and just it was just a bit of a summer job just to get me through the summer. Give me a bit of pocket money, and then yeah, I haven't left since. Basically, I spoke to Andy Mackay, who was Sussex head groundsman at the time. Used to come down to Horsham for our county weeks, where Sussex would play down at Horsham, and it just went from there. Got offered a job and stayed there ever since.
So Andy came and poached you.
Well, we got talking. I did a bit of voluntary work for them. A job came up, and yeah, it's yeah, you could say that.
So how long ago was that you started work at Sussex then?
It was 2011, I believe. So I started doing a bit of winter voluntary work in about October of 2010. Got offered a full-time role in January 2011.
So did that feel very different to what you're doing at Sussex, sorry, at Horsham when you got to Sussex?
Yeah, it's a different kind of pressure. Club level, you still have your pressures, don't get me wrong. But when you move into the professional game, it's just heightened a little. Um, I had a very good mentor at Horsham, Roger Ward, that kind of got me to have some really good standards, keep my standards, and that's exactly what Andy wants. So it was a nice transition.
So working with Andy, who's now gone on to kind of head things up at the ECB there as an overlooking role. You worked with him what for about 9 years or so before you took the step up?
Yeah. So I was there for about 9 years under him. He obviously moved on to what he always wanted to do, which in this industry, there's not many opportunities to kind of get your foot into certain doors. So I had to go for it. I wouldn't say I was still too soon for me, but I hadn't been a deputy, so it was a big
Yeah.
kind of step forward. I went for it and I got it, and it's been learning year on year, but it's been good.
So you kind of took a step over deputy. Was there a deputy in place at the time?
So he left shortly after. He decided not to go for the job.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
he'd been in the industry for a while. He's now up in Scotland at a cricket club, and he's loving it there. So he's
Right.
kind of
Okay.
he went away from professional and that sort of side of things, and I've kind of pushed up on top. But it was just sort of timing, like it always is for these. And yeah, I couldn't not put my name into the hat.
So you obviously knew the club, you knew the ground, you knew potentially what was expected in the role. Did you get any support or help to make that step up from, one of the guys to now the man that's kind of telling people what to do? Because that can be a difficult kind of step and transition.
Yeah, so I got a lot of support from the club, and Andy himself was on the phone a lot. which
Oh, that's
helps.
good.
I would still say I'm still finding my feet. I think there's that I haven't I haven't just mastered it now. I'm still learning daily. There's a good support network in the industry, as you know. Lots of different people, lots of different ideas, and there's a lot of it's it's it it's sort of you need that support around you at times. It's you need quite nothing ever goes just as it should. So lots of people having your back or support is needed in this industry, I believe.
So from your point of view, what was the most difficult bit about taking a step up? Was it now being, a manager of those guys? Was it dealing with the people above you? Was it getting your head around budgets? What sort of thing was it?
I had a bit of time. Obviously, I took over, and then 2 weeks after we went straight into that first lockdown.
Right.
So we didn't play for 3 months. So I kind of got my head around what I wanted to do with the ground, which wasn't much. I just wanted to keep things ticking over. I would say you're probably right. I think managing the team that I was part of for so many years, it's all the same team that Andy had. I had to hire one person. So going from kind of without sound like level with them to then their kind of manager was probably the trickiest part, and I still find it tricky today because still got the same team. You try to be their friend still, but also kind of their manager at times when we need
Yeah.
to. It's easy with those guys though because they are extremely. They have the same views as me. Keep the standards high, work hard. The harder we work, the more time we can spend with our families and friends. So it's one of those.
Okay. So that sounds like you got a good kind of mentality around the place, and it was set up for you in many respects. Has there been any difficult situations with staff that you've had to deal with? I mean, I don't
No,
necessarily want you to talk in detail, but has there been a challenge that you've gone, oh God, here we go, first disciplinary?
no. Luckily not. I've got a lot of experienced guys now. We look after another site at Blackstone Academy Ground, and I have someone there that I don't even have to worry about. I know it's going to be good there. I don't have to pop in all the time, so that's good. We look after another site, Backer, which is where our girls' pathway play a lot. Our women's team play, and that's probably the hardest one to manage because it's like a part-time role. So you're trying to give them as much as they need, but also having the right amount of hours kind of given there. Other than that, it's been pretty smooth sailing. Touch wood. Hopefully, it stays that way. It's always hard to. We've had to hire 4 staff, and that's becoming probably the hardest issue. We've had apprenticeships advertised for 6 months and not really getting anything back. We're lucky now; we've got a full strength team, but that was probably the hardest part of dealing with my team so far.
So recruiting is, like for so many, is an issue.
Yeah, I mean we have it a lot better than some of the stories I hear, and but it's just one of those. If you can recruit and retain, I think you're fine. It's about kind of looking after them once they're in the door as well, making sure they're happy, making sure you're giving them exactly what they need, like qualifications, more support, money. There's so many things we could go on forever, but
And
I
and
believe it is getting better. It's just not quite there yet.
well, I think industry wide, and I'm talking turf industry, including greenkeeping, it's the same issue, and we hear it time and time again. Every time we speak to grounds managers or head greenkeepers or anybody in the industry, really, finding quality staff or people that you want to invest in and keep and retain is really, really difficult because the recognition of what you do as a role isn't fully there. I mean, yeah. And I don't want to be rude, but because of the lack of understanding, a perception is not the same as it would be for a skilled plumber, yeah, a skilled carpenter, a joiner. whereas you guys are just as skilled.
Mm.
And in many respects, you've got, Mother Nature, which is that big curveball that, okay, a builder might have the problem with the rain every now and then means he can't work, but it's, the job's going to get done eventually. You're battling to keep the turf alive.
Yeah,
It's a very different scenario. So I feel quite strongly that, the industry needs better recognition. Getting that is difficult.
yeah,
One way I feel that, the industry could do it is through the sports themselves shining a light on what you guys do. And if you have a cricket club or a cricket player or a football player or a football club just doing little bits on their grounds teams, their greenkeepers saying, look, this is what's involved in the job. People then see it that aren't in our immediate circle and
yeah,
go, oh, that's interesting. And it gets more people involved. And I think really easy to say that, absolute nightmare to get, I don't know how many 92 football clubs and however many cricket clubs and golf clubs to
yeah,
start doing that. But it only takes a few to start it.
yeah. And you have started seeing it a little bit of some clubs. There's a lot of people in. I looking at just cricket at the moment. There's you've got kind of like Meg and Jasmine and Carly at Worcester. And Gary's always very vocal in his issues about recruitment and stuff. It started to do it. You just need the backing of other people, and
Yeah, you need the clubs on
we're all
board.
yeah we're all very close. We talk a lot. It's about kind of it's just, you want to appeal. You want to kind of go away from that. I work 100 hours a week. I don't ever see my family. I haven't had a day off in 2 months or whatever it is. We just need to sort of, I believe, get away from that. We need to start telling people
Yeah,
how
the
good the
positives.
industry is. Yeah, how fun it is on a T20 night or whatever you want to, whatever positive you take out of it. Because there's a reason why the people that have been in the industry stay in the industry a lot. I think it's more of people say they love the job and that's why they stay because the hours. But it is a fun job. It is a great job. You have to take the highs and lows, but if we keep telling people the positives and not the negatives, we'll be able to recruit basically. Don't make it
And
sound like it's that kind of such a hard kind of 100 hours a week sitting on a roller or whatever it is. It's very different nowadays, or it could be.
I mean, as a kid growing up who loved sport, finding a role that gets you close to sport as a job, it's got to be great. Yeah,
Mm.
it's got to be. If you know about that job, if
Yeah.
you know what it's like, rather than
Mm.
the old cliche, you just cut the grass and sometimes you might have to water it. Yeah, well, in
Yeah.
your case, trying to kill the middle, aren't you? But
Yeah. Yeah. And get it back. Yeah.
kill it,
Yeah.
bring it back.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay. So recruitment, that's one challenge that the industry's got. Climate has been something that's been changing.
Mhm.
You have a bit of a different climate there with Hove, obviously down on the coast anyway, to many of the grounds. Do you find it's becoming more of a challenge, or is it kind of pretty much the
I
same
would
as it's been?
I'd say the last 2 years have been a lot more challenging than they have been for a long time, weather-wise. It's not. We're not getting like continuous days of rain. It's just how much it rains in such a short space of time. We're quite lucky at Hove. We're on quite a big slope, so the slope deals with most of the drainage itself. We kind of our square sits in the middle of I think it's like a 8 foot drop from the top right to the bottom left. It got 8 foot, so water will just run towards the square. We have to have a channel which takes it away round the
Right.
square and then down to the bottom of the ground. So we have got drainage in place, but we rely on that slope to do most of its work. And the last couple of years, we've been in situations where just the sheer volume of rain has just kind of made it move on to the square before it
Yeah.
can get round. So it's been definitely more challenging. In the 15 years that I've been doing this, I think we had 1 year that it was similar. But yeah, I don't mind when it's not raining. I will never moan that I need rain, or I don't mind getting in at 5 and start watering if I need to. But it's definitely been a challenge.
You got any restrictions on your water usage, or are you okay down there?
No, we've started to. We're going to start using wetters in the outfield, so we don't have to use it as much.
Right.
But we're not restricted. But the finance director might give me a nudge every
Yeah.
once in a while and just see. I haven't probably been as efficient with it. I would say I kind of it needs a bit of water. I put it on. Whereas now I'm trying to look at different avenues to not use as much if I don't
Right.
need to,
Okay.
and don't always worry about how good it looks.
It's how it
So
plays.
yeah, pretty much.
Okay. You got a club and a captain or a coach that are buying into, what you have to do?
Yeah, so we have Paul Farbrace started last year, and he has been nothing but supportive of
He's the
us.
CEO, is he?
No, so he's the head coach.
He's the head coach, is he? Right. Okay.
We haven't got a CEO at the moment. We're interviewing
Because it
currently, I
was Rob
believe.
Andrew, wasn't it?
It was Rob Andrew, and he's always been very supportive of the grounds team, and what we want to do and what we need to do. He's kind of bought into our ideas, and it is the club in general have been very supportive about you don't just get something to a good state and then you just leave it and you have to maintain it. You have to do this phrase mowing, hollow coring, secondary drainage, whatever it is that you need to keep going. You can't just sit back, and that's when it starts going wrong. And then that's when you have a big bill that you need to correct. So it's doing stuff every 2-3 years to really kind of go at it again. We had a thatch problem a few years back. We were gonna corro off the outfield, playing off the outfield, but then it was that COVID year that we ended up playing into October.
Right.
So I thought it'd be too much of a risk to do. Turns out we actually got really nice weather in November, so it would have been fine. But it just went on to next year, and it was an issue. Water was just staying in the surface. But it's like go back to your point. We are pretty well supported within the club. The head coach Paul, he's had a lot of involvement with the pitches in a good way. We've always been quite a batsman friendly pitch, so we're trying to get a bit more life in it for the bowlers.
Okay.
And it's just trying little tiptoeing kind of up to where we want to be. We don't want to do anything crazy, but
So what sort of things are you doing to, make that change?
just mainly height of cut, kind of leave it a bit juicy, as you would say, just on day one, so to help the bowlers out a bit more. Our pitches have never really turned either.
Right.
The kind of the soil we use is very high clay content, so it just stays like a brick the whole way through. Where you want not quite as much as what India was doing the other day turning, but you want a bit more out of it. Especially days 3 and 4. You want it to play well day 1 and 2, then start kind of not misbehaving, but just being a bit trickier. So we're working on sort of like less compaction in the spinning areas and thinning out the grass. And it's such a hard. You can't really trial with cricket unless you do it on a match day, because it's training is just never the same. So you can't really practice our techniques on training pitches because it doesn't get the same use. So our trials have to be for match days, and that's where sometimes it can go wrong. As you've seen over the years, it does go wrong, but as long as people are trying to do it for the right reasons, it would be nice to have a bit more flexibility in trialing stuff. But
so if you make a change, forgive my ignorance, if you make a change to that soil content, do you have to make it the whole square, or can you do it on individual wickets?
We do pitch by pitch at the moment. There is avenues that we can go and look at different soils to top dress. But at the moment, we're just doing pitch by pitch, sort of natural preparation to it, just thinning out the grass or leaving it a bit longer, not rolling certain areas. It is there's all different little techniques, and by the end of the season, we had 2 pitches that I believe played the best that they have done in my 4 years, where they were fast and they were quick and they carried nicely on day 1 and 2, slowed down a little bit, and then were turning. So that's our aim. Hopefully, it wasn't a fluke, and we can now know what it was, because it's never. You can never really get the same pitch twice. No, exactly. There's so many factors, and when coaches and captains ask for something, it's never, all right, yeah, I know how to do that. It's you know how to try to do it. It's not a complete science though.
But sometimes you might have had to start that work 3 months before to get the pitch that you want. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky. We go from we're trying to get some pitches out mid-March for training. I mean, we're already thinking about we might need to start covering up and getting some of them pitches dry. It's you can go from early season, maybe a month to 6 weeks preparation, to in the season. I mean, I've had pitches that are ready in 4 or 5 days. So it's kind of adapting throughout the year to weather, to climates. It's a tricky one, but we haven't got nearly as much cricket on our squares that some people do. So I do.
Yeah, the state of the game. I mean, there's more and more matches being played. In many respects, it's very similar to most sports. They seem to be getting more and more fixtures for everything to get more and more revenue. But you're not getting huge revenues in cricket, certainly compared to the likes of football. How do you battle that kind of expectation compared to the budget that you've got?
Yeah, it is tricky. Like I said, we haven't got a huge amount of cricket compared to a lot. Well, the 100 venues have that extra. It's my first couple. I got told when I first got the job, if you need something, ask for it straight away. So I did, and I got some new machinery that we needed to replace anyway, which was costing us money. So from that point of view, I've been well supported. It's I don't think the budget's that big a issue on my end. I know it can be on some others. It's more time. It's more time to do your work. When they're training all the time, you got different. It's not always just a professional game. You got a lot of kind of commercial usage of the outfields or the square. Right. Just a lot of the foundation, like kids academies, which is all great to see it, but it's just time away from preparation. It can be a struggle.
So unless you can work through the night, sometimes you can't.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. And I'd say time. Time's probably our biggest issue with that, and valuable time that we have to just sit and watch another game being on instead of working on another pitch that needs it. So.
Or some kids doing an egg and a spoon race on the outfield.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I like seeing the ground in use.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, but you still need to have time on it yourself.
With your situation, you seem that you're very happy in what you're doing. You obviously have a passion for the job as a whole. What's your ambitions? Is this where you wanted to get to, or do you still have further ambitions?
I would say it was never really my ambition to be a head grounds manager. I just kind of got to that point, and then I was like, oh, actually, I do want this. And I'd probably say the same now. I've never had that real ambition to be a test venue grounds manager. But that might be a lot different when a job comes up. So it's sort of, I'll never kind of look for anything else. I'm very happy at Sussex. I'm happy with the team I've got at the moment. I'm really happy. I'm really settled. I live local. We have a good kind of work-life balance at the moment at Sussex, which I'm able to have because of my team. If people start leaving, which they will, because they are ambitious themselves, they're very skilled grounds people now. When jobs come up, they will be going for them, I believe, and they should be going for them. So that's when the job might become trickier for me.
Yeah.
Like almost starting again. So yeah, and it will happen, and that's probably when I'll probably start looking again at other jobs, because there's plenty of jobs in this industry that I still I've always been interested in golf. I like the kind of the delicate techniques or the standards they keep for every part of it. But Sussex, at cricket, you've got like the pitch, the outfield, training facilities. With golf, you've got a lot of different areas that you have to maintain differently and with the same sort of love and care. So it's
You get into woodlands and other things like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of always have been interested in that. Not so much football or rugby, but like if the right job came up, I'm sure I'd love to do that. We're quite local to Brighton and Hove, and I've known a lot of people that work there. If the right job came up, I would definitely have a look. But at the moment, I'm extremely happy at Sussex.
So let's kind of look at your ambitions for the role you've got now with Sussex. I mean, you've got 2 or 3 different venues that you're actually looking after. What would be your goals over the next, 12, 36 months to achieve within that?
Yeah, so my main idea at the moment is obviously the ground usage is getting higher and higher. You've got potentially a lot more cricket in future years if the women's game, they've got the tier system now. If we get tier 1, then I believe there'll be a lot of more cricket added to Hove's schedule. I believe I would want a separate ground that you do sort of all your training at. Hove is your main focus for match days or match day -1 day befores, to do all your, and then you've got a ground that you train throughout the week basically. So that's I've started kind of having a look into that idea, and that's local. There's not a lot of green space around Brighton and Hove, so it'd mean a bit of travel, but that's probably my ambition for now. That's a lot of money though, so that's where the stumbling block comes with cricket most of the time. And then it's just going back to just retaining a good team, making sure that they're getting exactly what they want and need out of the job themselves. And it sounds cliche, but that's always, I'm thinking of what they want all the time, basically. And yeah, I don't really think there's anything else in the immediate. Just keep doing little steps to improve.
So far in your 15 years or so, what's been your proudest achievement in terms of, professionally?
I think just getting a job. I think I didn't expect it, and then since getting it I always felt like I couldn't do it, and I was like kind of putting myself off even going for it, being like, I know you're not ready. But then I guess I'm quite proud of how I have taken to it, and how I've taken to the managerial side plus the standards that I can keep. But that you have to have extremely thick skin in this, especially in cricket. I'm sure you do in the other areas of sport as well, but in cricket, the pitch is just spoken about so much, and it is so vital to the game. Don't get me wrong, but you have to have very thick skin. So I guess I have times that I do struggle with it, but I guess I'm proud of how well I've dealt with that side of it.
I think in your situation in cricket, I don't think there's any other turf care professional that has so much emphasis on the surface they're producing having a direct and huge impact on the outcome of a fixture. Yeah, I guess golf can prepare greens, etc., in a way, and you can do stuff with football, but it tends to be fairly consistent. But directly spoken about in the
Mm.
media, what's the groundsman done with this pitch? What we're going to see. I
Yeah,
think you get more pressure in that regard.
yeah,
That's the gambling side of things must come into it as well, because a lot of people put a lot of money on
hmm
the outcome of pitches that you've produced. So yeah, I guess public scrutiny is always going to be on you, and you're the
it's
guy who gets the blame at the end of the day if it doesn't do what was expected.
yeah, it's always there. The pressure's always there. You don't even have to be watching a game. As like a fan, you can just look on BBC Sport or whatever, see the score, be like, "Oh, they're 9 down for not many. Oh, the pitch must be doing so." And that's just it's nothing to do with the batsman playing terrible shots, the
Yeah.
bowlers bowling really well. It's always, "Oh, that must be doing a bit." And
We're in
it's
Stringfellows till 4 o'clock in the morning.
well,
Nothing to do
yeah,
with
exactly.
that.
It's such a hard one to. You could be watching a. You do get blinkers sometimes. You can be watching the game. A few wickets go quickly, and then you start backtracking and pet like kind of, oh, is it actually doing what I think it's doing? And then I've always spoken to Paul, the head coach, and players, and just say, just give me feedback like throughout the game. There's especially in 4-day games or tests. I'm sure like you just want to. It's not even just giving you a pat on the back, say it's all okay. It's just knowing what you're seeing is the same as other people,
Yeah.
because the score lines can blur your vision on pictures definitely. And I guess that's probably the hardest part of the job for me at the moment. And the longer I'm in it, the harder it's becoming. I guess we're not only pundits don't only talk about us. You got fans, you got even players, and then we're marked on every pitch as well. So you've always got that in the back of your mind. So there is a lot of pressure.
We spoke about your most proudest moment or your greatest achievement. You're going to share with us a cock up?
Um, what can I? So second year actually. This goes back to when I was talking about our thatch control problem.
Yeah.
We had a really bad leather jacket problem,
Right.
which kind of coincided with that whole I was going to take the top off the outfield, get rid of the thatch, which would have taken all the leather jackets away as well. But I I was on flexi furlough, and I was doing like 1 day a week.
Yeah.
Came in 1 week, saw a little patch of it looked like kind of a rabbit was nibbling away at the grass leaf, and I was like, that's not too bad. Came another day, it got a little bit bigger. I was like, oh, is that my deputy Chris? Has he scorched the outfield with fertilizer because he fertilized the week before? I was like, but I'm not sure. I blamed him anyway. And then the week after, the whole of the south end of the outfield was just gone,
Yeah.
and it just happened so quick. And where I probably wasn't there daily, I kind of just assumed it wasn't a big deal. But that was Christmas time. So yeah, New Year's Day, I came in and it was all gone. So that was probably the hardest times, and it was a very cold winter. So we were really struggling to grow grass back in. We pretty much got there, but we had to delay the start of the season. Luckily, Matt at Lancashire took the first fixture instead for us, and I think it believed it snowed there as well. I think it got
Yeah.
called off the snow, and we had glorious sunshine down at ours. But no, luckily he took that for us. But that's probably the lowest point of. It wasn't so much a cock up. I could have done a lot more, but that's just it. I was very green still. I wasn't like looking at all of them areas, and I certainly do now.
Will this finish on a higher note rather than that?
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to for the coming season?
Just trialing again, just keep trialing, getting the pitches right. For the team more than anything, we're Sussex in general have struggled the last few years. We've gone down a different avenue with with a lot of youngsters, which I believe will work. And I'm a big Sussex fan, so I want it to work, and I'm just trying to help them out as much as I can within the laws of the game. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting back out there now. It's been a long winter. I always get past Christmas and I'm just itching to go again, and then I get to July and I'm like, oh, I can't wait for winter. So it's just one of those.
Well, at least every year you get your wish come true, don't you? Twice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Ben,
definitely.
it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It's great to speak to somebody who obviously loves the job, loves the industry, and cares passionately. Hope to catch up with you soon, and we wish you all the very best for the coming season.
Yeah, thanks for having me.